Good evening, thank you for joining me. Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. The headlines. Fountain of Orphanage beneficiaries threatened to close institution, citing bad leadership. Chief LUEMBE cautions his counterparts from taking a partisan stance. CHELLAH TUKUTA slapped with a 2-year jail sentence for defaming DORA SILIYA. In international news, Gambia economy struggles to recover after COVID restrictions lifted. And in sports, athlete Olympic workers test positive for COVID as opening nears. Join me with the main news in detail after this commercial.
Camnet TV offers a wide range of advertising spaces for motion adverts, preaching programs, social media advertising, studio facilities, productions, programs and documentaries. Grow your business with us at Camnet TV. For advertising space, visit our offices at plot number 396/100, Ibex Hill, Kablonga Road. Call 0962-965-883 or 0979-753-010, or you can email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
And now the main news in detail. Some victims of political violence in Lusaka's Chawama constituency in Mississippi compound have complained that they are still living in fear after the attack. Others say that they are finding it difficult to buy medication to nurse their wounds in the aftermath of the attacks. This came to light when victims of Chawama constituency United Party for National Development parliamentary hopeful Potfa Tembo visited violence victims.
The political campaign period comes with sad realities. For others, it is the right time to use the political systems to conduct acts of criminality, like was witnessed in Lusaka's Chawama constituency in Mississippi compound. Mississippi compound is one of the famous Lusaka slums, characterized by high population, and certainly juvenile delinquency is high. The people lack most of the basic amenities, and most of them live from hand to mouth. For Chawama constituency, it is one area that needs development. The politically motivated violent incident that occurred on the 9th of July 2021 in Mississippi has left many people in fear. Many people are still distressed and are struggling to cope with life.
Samugara point, community to and cheat, and making a boat through, or go sticky, and see me mangirira, I don't tell penguin, made Zamugara point, what does that cheat all that? It's what some mean, it's mangirira, and no PNG, and all of Zamugara point. It's not an easy share.
United Party for National Development Chawama constituency parliamentary hopeful Potfa Tembo went to check on the violence victims. Mr. Tembo has urged his supporters to exercise restraint amid provocation from political opponents.
Was it necessary? No. So tabwera muno kulimbikisano kuti twane pa 12 August 2021 voterani akainde chirema mukangena moja nikuvotera pachani kuti violence ichite bwanji muno muzambia ni one Zambia One Nation. Kawazina tizabulema ma youth chairman kuti security kulibe, but vantu Zambia, they are peaceful people. Yes. Kani andeo, so ifu? Mairo kunadi signing agreement kuja ma peace deal kumununguzi. Onse wa president analiko kuchosako mngati
Meanwhile, police in Lusaka are still investigating reports of aggravated robbery and unlawful wounding, and in order to mitigate violence, they have continued to conduct night patrols in the area. Just like leaders, elections come and go, but why harm one another if people must live for a common good? Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Patriotic Front member of Central Committee Paul Munga charged that the opposition United Party for National Development is conceding defeat ahead of the polls for insisting that the Patriotic Front will rig the forthcoming elections. He says it is impossible to rig elections, especially that the modalities are in place, such as the deployment of political party polling agents and election monitors. MCC Munga said this today in Lusaka's Mandevu constituency when PF parliamentary candidate for Luapula constituency Chanda Katotobewe handed over a new vehicle to a youth PF supporter who fell victim to the UPND violent conduct on 10th June 2021 for supporting the ruling party. Mr. Munga has challenged UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema to publicly condemn violence.
It is a story of sadness converted into happiness as he had his vehicle damaged by alleged UPND cadres. Now it has been replaced. PF Wapula constituency parliamentary aspiring candidate Chanda Katotobewe said he saw it fit to hand over a vehicle to the victim of the UPND violence because violence has no room in politics of Zambia.
Ruling party and winning party, we have a noble responsibility to protect property, lives and peace in our country. It's in this quest to quench violence that I found it prudent that we must come and help our brother here who had his car damaged by unruly thugs in the name of politics.
At the same event, Patriotic Front member of the Central Committee Paul Munga charged that the opposition United Party for National Development is conceding defeat ahead of the polls for insisting that the PF will rig the forthcoming elections when they have not been held yet.
Why should you go to an election knowing that you're going to lose? Then you're saying they're going to rig the election. How would you go through the match knowing that you're going to lose and the full match? And the referee is going to give a penalty. The reason why they will lose, the referee is biased. How does the referee become biased when you win the match? You PND are talking about rigging for the election. How do you rig an election of a polling agent at every polling station? At the totaling center of your agents, at the group of agents, 3 centers. Already are talking about rigging an election where they want the people. Please, Zambians.
And PF Mandevu constituency parliamentary candidate Christopher Shakafuswa has called on the Zambia police to launch investigations into the matter, adding that the level of violence that occurred on the particular day was too high.
CHELLAH has gotten foreigners from Angola who is using to terrorize the people when he's moving. We challenge the police to look into this matter because the level of violence, especially here in Mandela, was too much on that particular day. Like I said, we ask them to stay away so that we give safe passage in the UPND on that particular day.
Now that some political parties have signed the peace pact, perhaps it is about time counter-accusation on violence come to an end. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
United Party for National Development UPND Deputy National Youth Chairperson Trevor Mwinde has alleged that the police on the Copperbelt denied him and his colleagues access to visit their member Frank Tahali, who is in police custody. Mr. Frank Tayali, who is an aspiring candidate, was on the 14th of July 2021 arrested and charged with 1 count of malicious damage of a police vehicle and 1 count of campaign misconduct likely to cause a disruption of peace. Mr. Mwinde, in an exclusive interview with Camnet News, further says Mr. Tayali, who is currently in police detention, should not be kept longer than needed, as this could disadvantage him in the parliamentary campaigns.
People that are aspiring, people that are seeking public office should not be allowed to have a very unfair playing field where others are having advantage. Right now we can say the competitors they are competing with in DORA Central, they are having an undue advantage over our candidate who is Frank Tayali, who is detained. We are appealing to the Zambia police that going by the case or the offense that which they have charged him, which is malicious damage and disorderly conduct, those are very petty cases, that which a man of his reputation, a man of his standing in society, he cannot be over-detained over such cases. And in this land, we believe that the people that are in authority are servants of the people that are appointed them or voted for them. So we are appealing that Zambia police should exercise their duties in a diligent and prudent manner to make sure that their respect is restored, unlike the prohibitive behavior of trying to visit somebody who we believe it is within his rights to be visited, and we also believe it is within our rights to visit such people that are in such conditions.
International Peace and Unity Organization, with an affiliate member of over 500 churches countrywide, has endorsed the candidature of the Patriotic Front candidate, President Edgar Lungu. Addressing the media Thursday, organization chairman Reverend Chisenga LUEMBE said President Edgar Lungu was chosen by God and should be allowed to rule at least for the next 5 years, adding that the finger of God does not make a mistake. He says people should allow the candidature of President Edgar Lungu as directed by God. Reverend LUEMBE said unseating President Lungu is like going back to default settings, contrary to what Zambia has achieved so far. Zambia has 16 presidential candidates appearing on the ballot in the August 12, 2021 polls.
In a Christian nation like Zambia, the church is a destination of choice for many as a voice of reason, but a compromised church can also be described as a danger to the flock. Just like traditional leaders, many have advised the church not to take a partisan stance in order to avoid dividing the flock. Christian Churches Monitoring Group chairperson Father Emmanuel Chikoya recently made those remarks, discouraging the church leaders to take a partisan stance.
As clergy, let's not get excited with gifts. One of the greatest challenges that I see with the church, in many churches, you start huge church projects and yet you don't have the money. And your faith is in the politician. The faith of the church must be in Jesus Christ.
But International Peace and Unity Organization chairman Reverend Chisenga LUEMBE, representing over 500 churches countrywide, has confidently endorsed the candidature of the Patriotic Front candidate, President Edgar Lungu, saying it is the duty of the church to lead its flock to the right path.
And we know he is going through in the next term because having gone everywhere in the country and having gotten information from the general populace, I think the President Edgar Lungu stands a chance of going through. And we want to tell the nation that be confident that in the next 5 years, where development has never come, the president is ready to come and bring development, because we've seen developments in other areas. So definitely will bring development in the areas where he has never touched. Hence, we encourage every Zambian to decide wisely. Let the finger of God be able to give us the right candidate. And the candidature of Edgar Lungu, I believe, is what the people of Zambia have actually landed on.
Reverend LUEMBE also says Zambians should reject politicians who promise them heaven on earth once they attend office, adding that it is not possible to achieve such development as seen in Zambia in the last 5 years during President Edgar Lungu's reign.
To remove him now and put someone else, then the foundation he has laid will actually be in vain. Because whoever is going to come, he will come and try to demolish and start afresh, which means we'll be going backwards. And we've heard a number of people saying that when we come, we'll change the situation in the country, we'll change the economy of the country, will bring the solution to COVID-19. You know, there are so many promises. The dollar rate will change within few hours, and prices will go down within a stipulated time, a short period of time, and all those things, which is just a lie. And Zambians should not be deceived by such cheap lies.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Chief LUEMBE of Nyimba District, Eastern Province, has cautioned some chiefs advancing the political agenda of various candidates. In an interview with Camnet TV, Chief LUEMBE has advised traditional leaders to embrace all political parties if visited in their respective chiefdoms. He has therefore advised his colleagues to counsel aspiring candidates ahead of the August 12th general election.
The duty of traditional leaders is to embrace all political players regardless which party they belong to, while accepting the will of the people when they are subject to vote in an election. Zambia, however, has continued to witness some traditional rulers taking sides in the electoral processes. Chief LUEMBE of Nyimba District, Eastern Province, has advised traditional rulers who are in forefront of using their platforms to play partisan politics to desist.
So chiefs are not supposed to be partisan. Chiefs are supposed to be non-partisan because we receive all of them at our palaces, especially during this time of elections. Each one will come and bring their own manifestos. I will not chase any one of them. I have to embrace all of them. As long as they don't start enticing me into supporting them at the palace, because that will now be breaching the ethic. That's what chiefs are supposed to do. Not to engage in partisan politics means not to start supporting a particular party openly. We are not supposed to do that as Royal Highnesses.
The chief has urged all chiefs to focus on addressing issues affecting their subjects in their chiefdoms. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Disability Rights Watch DRW has echoed the need for intensified sensitization by the Electoral Commission of Zambia on the use of Braille jackets per day. In an interview with Camnet TV, DRW National Coordinator Mr. Choma says the ECZ needs to work at enhancing mechanisms for visually impaired citizens to cast their votes if the secrecy attached to voting is to be achieved. Meanwhile, Mr. Choma reiterated that the ECZ should not limit visually impaired persons in the August elections by requesting for an aid from commissioners for them to cast their vote.
Come August 12, 2021, thousands of eligible voters across the country will exercise their right by voting for their preferred candidates. This will not only include people in the urban, but also in the rural areas, the old, the youths, the women, and more also those who are differently abled. In order to make the election more inclusive, the Electoral Commission of Zambia has catered for the visually impaired persons by providing the Braille jackets to use when casting their votes. Speaking on the same issue, the Disability Rights Watch National Coordinator Bruce Choma has called on the ECZ to intensify the sensitization so that the visually impaired persons can be well informed.
We hope that in this year's elections, the challenges we experienced in 2016 will not happen again. These include the first biggest challenge being that the awareness levels on how to use the facility were very, very low. And as a result, many people who needed to use them didn't know how to use them, and they ignored them and opted to just get help in casting their ballot. This compromises the secret of the ballot for people who are blind. And so it's important that as voter education awareness continues, we must invest resources into making the Braille jacket available for inspection and for practicals for people who are visually impaired, to allow them to have confidence.
Meanwhile, Mr. Chomas welcomed the pledge to peaceful elections by political leaders on Wednesday, 14th of July, 2021, saying it will facilitate an inclusive political environment.
Escalation in terms of political violence, and this has made it very difficult for people with disabilities to even receive messages from political cadres who are campaigning door to door for fear of attacks. And this is a very significant challenge, and we hope that with the signing of the peace accord yesterday, political players are going to exercise more tolerance so that they can be more inclusive in the way they do their politics and allay the fears that people with disabilities have when it comes to interacting with politicians for fear of attacks and violence.
Alex Shimba, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Former beneficiaries at Fountain of Hope Orphanage in Lusaka have closed the orphanage administration office, citing mismanagement of the institutions by those left in charge. A former street kid, Sevelono Vasco, who led other protesters, says the new management at the orphanage is doing nothing but only stealing the resources meant to benefit poor children. Mr. Vasco says the orphanage had about 250 children when its founder, Roger Mwena, died, but that the orphanage now only has 65 children. He has since demanded for an urgent annual general meeting in order to iron out issues at the orphanage.
Fountain of Hope Orphanage in Lusaka had for many years become a safe haven for orphans and vulnerable children in the capital of Lusaka. But on the evenings of Saturday, 18th July 2020, the atmosphere at the orphanage was charged after information filtered to the children that Masawombwe, Member of Parliament, Rogers Mwewa, founder of the Fountain of Hope, had died. Following his death, rumors of the new management mismanaging resources at the orphanage have surfaced, and reports of children being sent away from the orphanage have equally been reported. And some former beneficiaries at the orphanage who are displeased with the way the affairs of the orphanage are being run Thursday afternoon stormed the orphanage and forced one of the teachers at the orphanage to close the administrative office and hand them over the keys.
Fountain of Hope is an association. It's not a family thing. So there are other, Barojas Mwamaisoi, rest in peace, he did a lot for us with other members. So he was one of the founder members. He was not the owner of Fountain of Hope. The other people who died before him, and the other people are still alive. Yes. The founder members are still alive. Yes. So I want the founder members to put this house in order. Yes. Exactly. Yes, there is accountability. This is not a business institution. We are all who we are today because of Fountain of Hope.
Yes, the chairperson, the wife to the date, and then people in the board, the brothers, and then the director, the brother, and then also all the signatories, people we've got.
And following the death of Mr. Mwewa, government had on 25th July 2021, through former Minister of Youth, announced that it will take over the running of the orphanage and turn Fountain of Hope into a grant-aided institution to help meet its operational cost effective this year. But one may wonder what has happened to this promise by the government.
Can't watch Fountain of Hope go down. We grew up from here. Yes. Mr. Mwewa came in the picture in 2012 open. Fountain of Hope started in 1996. So there's a background to this, which we know.
We've been coming here, like what my colleagues mentioned. We've been coming here, we've called for meetings, and nothing has been done. We've called for meetings several times. We've talked to the founders, you know, and they said they are part of the board meeting, but they are not being involved. They are not being called for meetings.
And the teacher who was found at the orphanage was left shaken by what she says a surprise invention of the orphanage by Mr. Vasca and his friends.
Things just happened abruptly, unexpectedly. I was not expecting such. So I just saw people coming close. Hey, close. You saw how I was being dragged here and there. So for the fear of myself, I just allowed. I didn't allow, but I allowed people to do what they came to do.
And efforts to get a comment from the new management could not materialize by broadcast time as they were not available at the orphanage to respond to my queries. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In other news, the Southern African Interfaith Peace Mission is disappointed at the conduct of political leaders who refused to sign the peace accord at a meeting in Lusaka on Wednesday morning. Interfaith Executive Director Howard Banda, who told Camnet News in an exclusive interview that the refusal to sign a peace pledge works against the efforts stakeholders are putting into ending violence as August draws to a close. Mr. Banda says differences in opinions will continue to exist, but that leaders at all levels have a huge responsibility of ensuring that the message of peace is passed on to their supporters by leading as an example.
The decision by two political parties not to append their signatures to the peace accord has been received with criticism by stakeholders who have been making numerous efforts to stop political violence in the country. Third Liberation Movement leader Enoch Tonga clearly stated that he will not sign the peace pledge because the perpetrators of violence are known, while the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy MMD refused to sign because it has pending issues with the ruling Patriotic Front that it needs to iron out before signing. But the Southern African Interfaith Peace Mission Executive Director Howard Banda is disappointed at the decision taken by the two parties not to sign the peace pledge, as it undermines efforts stakeholders are putting up to end violence as August draws to a close.
The thing that we are also discouraged about is when we see some political party leaders failing to consent towards peace. The process was not by force, and the process is not biased to any other political party, but the process is a responsibility of every Zambian and every political leader. Let the leaders show what they stand for, what they mean when we talk about the peace of Zambia. We don't want to see leaders tomorrow complain when they are the ones who are failing to consent to the peace of this country. The peace of this country is the most important thing that everybody is dreaming about. Why should other people be there to condemn violence when they're failing to actually consent to the peace agreement?
Mr. Banda adds that there will be no development in any country that has violence, hence the need to ensure that violence is stopped at all costs.
There will be no development anywhere in the world where peace is void. Look at our neighboring countries in Congo, Burundi, Rwanda, and people have been fighting. But an initiative is being brought so that all of us, we become, actually beneficiaries of the outcome of tomorrow. But we are very saddened when we see other political parties and giant parties shining, to consent to the peace document and peace accord, which was being chaired by different organizations and sponsored by the international community like Commonwealth. It's very, very unfortunate if we behave like that. We urge all political players in this country, and we urge all political leaders and religious leaders to exercise the same. The accord that was being presented is an important.
Zambia has less than 30 days to make a decision on how the next 5 years will look like. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Lusaka High Court Judge Lamek Mwale has slapped a 2-year jail sentence effective today with hard labor on a Lusaka photographer, CHELLAH TUKUTA, for calling former Chief Government spokesperson DORA SILIYA a highest hooker. This was the matter in which popular photographer TUKUTA was charged with 1 count of libel contrary to the laws of Zambia. TUKUTA went live on his Facebook page last year in May, had accused the former Information and Broadcasting Minister of being a pimp who sells girls to high-profile men for sex. When the matter came up on Thursday morning for judgment, Judge Mwale, who sat as a magistrate, found TUKUTA guilty of the offense as the prosecution had proved its case against him beyond reasonable doubt. Magistrate Mwale said he found assertion by TUKUTA that Miss SILIYA sells young girls to high-profile people for sex and that she is the highest of hookers is extremely careless, irresponsible, and deliberately circulated to injure the reputation of Miss SILIYA through the eyes of the right-thinking member of society. The court also found that TUKUTA failed to furnish the court with any evidence to support his assertion that Miss SILIYA sells young girls to high-profile people for sex, or that she is the highest of the highest professional prostitutes. The court stated that TUKUTA in this matter demonstrated lack of respect for Miss SILIYA, who at the time was cabinet minister and an elderly woman who deserves respect. The Lusaka High Court Judge Sharon Newa has sentenced a 29-year-old woman of Lusaka to 12 months simple imprisonment for choking her infant to death just after giving birth. This was in a matter in which Evelyn Walia of Lusaka was charged with 1 count of manslaughter and admitted the charge. Details are that on the 14th of December last year, Walia, who is already a mother of 3, gave birth to a 4th born around midnight, but just after giving birth, she got a cloth and tied it around the baby's neck and strangled the child. She later went to throw the infant's body in a pit latrine, but the following day, after being interrogated by her mother and neighbors, Walia confessed to have delivered the baby and then killed her. The convict, who appeared before the Lusaka High Court Thursday morning in her mitigation, asked the court for mercy. But in passing judgment, Judge Newa said there was no need for her to take accountability for her action. The court wondered why would she take the life of her own child? Chipata-based athlete Morgan Banda has appealed to political parties in the country to promote peace and unity during their door-to-door campaign ahead of August 12th general elections. Mr. Banda says the political parties contesting in this year's elections must effectively use the One Zambia One Nation motto on which the country has been built on. In an interview with Zanis after his arrival in Chipata aboard to plane, he urged the youths in the country to not be used as tools of perpetuating political violence by some individuals that do not have the country at heart. Mr. Banda, who uniquely decided to mourn the late first Republican President Kenneth Kaunda through a marathon from Chipata to Zambia's capital Lusaka for 10 days. And Chipata District Commissioner Kalunga Zulu has commended Mr. Banda for being a patriotic Zambian that decided to honor the late Dr. Kenneth Kaunda by running a marathon.
Let each and every Zambian properly think wisely, realize to say them themselves, our political leaders, starting from presidents to councillor level or a council secretary, MP, mayor, they should think to say you need the people that you should come and lead as leaders yourselves. Now, if you perpetrate your people around you, most the youths, into vices or vice, how are you going to come and operate in these various offices where you are called leaders? Please, my appeal to all of you leaders, whatever names you are known of, please try to use your thinking wisely to help protect your own people that follows you. You will never have any other Zambia apart from this beautiful Zambia that our founding father and his team labored for.
We are known as a people,
yes,
even at district level, yes, and the province at large, that we are a very peaceful people.
Exactly.
And this is what the late president, the first Republican president, Dr. Kaunda, was preaching so much.
Yes.
On behalf of Chipata district, we are very grateful. Right. Even here, we encourage you. You are an ambassador.
Yes.
People now are listening to you.
Yes, sir.
We are looking up to people like you.
Yes, sir.
In fact, to help us also disseminate this
information
of peace, but not only peace. Now, the biggest enemy we have is the coronavirus.
The Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company has revealed that over 4,000 flushable toilets have been constructed so far in Lusaka's peri-urban areas from a target of 5,500 by the end of 2021. In an exclusive interview with Camnet News, company public relations officer Nshamba Muzungu says areas covered so far include Kanyama, Chawama and George Compound, among others. The $280 million United States project is an initiative under the Ministry of Water Development, Supply and Environmental Project aimed at protecting underground water from being polluted by pit latrines, as most peri-urban areas use wells as sources of water.
Every year, waterborne diseases like cholera, dysentery, and typhoid affect people with compromised water systems. Many households in Zambia's peri-urban areas, locally known as shanty compounds, use shallow wells as sources of water and also have pit latrines within a short distance from the wells. This endangers the lives of citizens as there is a high risk of underground water contamination. The Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company in 2018 embarked on a project aimed at replacing pit latrines in Lusaka shanty compounds with flushable ones in a bid to reduce health hazards caused by using contaminated underground water. The program, which is under the Ministry of Water Development, Sanitation and Environmental Protection, is estimated at a cost of $280 million United States dollars and is expected to be rolled out to other parts of the country. Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company Public Relations Manager Shamba Muzungu says over 4,000 flushable toilets out of a target of 5,500 by 2021 have been constructed so far in Lusaka. The toilets are constructed at a reduced price in a bid to cushion costs and make them more affordable.
We are happy to report that we've made significant progress in Kanyama, in Chawama, and in George compound. So the target for the toilets is about 5,500, and we're happy to report that we've done over 4,000, and we are just remaining with a few to hit the target of 5,500.
Mr. Muzungu has further made an appeal to corporate bodies to come on board and help those who cannot afford.
We are encouraging corporate entities to come on board and support these communities. I don't think that there is any corporate social responsibility gesture which could be better than providing toilets and improving public health outcomes for our people.
Zipora Mushala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. For now, we take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more news after this.
For too long, Zambian people have endured tough times, high levels of unemployment, lack of freedom, ever-increasing cost of living, poor health facilities, corruption, and injustice. Time and time again, we have been promised a better tomorrow, but things are only getting tougher. My fellow Zambians, someone is listening. Every outcry, every obstacle and pain brought by the trials and tribulations you're facing, he is listening. A leader with a heart for the people of Zambia. Only he can fix what is broken. A leader who stands for unity and prosperity across all ethnic, religious, and gender considerations to live in harmony in a free and democratic society. Change is coming. Change that will restore the country and build it from the ground up. Let's make impactful change by voting Hakainde Hichilema.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our Zesco units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, downlights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbanda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Mwanga Nkumbula International Airport, located just 15 kilometers from the Victoria Falls, is now one of the best and busiest airports that Zambia has. Vote for Edgar Chagwa and the PF that have brought you change.
Camnet TV offers a wide range of advertising spaces for motion adverts, preaching programs, social media advertising, studio facilities, productions, programs, and documentaries. Grow your business with us at Camnet TV. For advertising space, visit our offices at plot number 396/100, Ibex Hill, Kablonga Road. Call 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010, or you can email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We continue with the rest of the main news. Zambia has in the last 24 hours recorded 1,580 new confirmed COVID-19 cases out of 7,935 tests conducted, giving 20% positivity. This brings the cumulative number of confirmed cases recorded to death to 182,129. On a sad note, the country recorded 42 new COVID-19 related deaths in the last 24 hours. 32 of the deaths have been classified as COVID-19 deaths and 10 as COVID-19 associated deaths. Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Kenneth Malama announced this development Thursday.
Just like any other disease in the world, coronavirus is as critical. The virus that started in November 2019 affects people from all states of life. As such, it has come as a shock at the number of reports the Ministry of Health is receiving over patients self-medicating themselves and mounting oxygen cylinders in their homes. Disclosing to the media in a press briefing, Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Technical Services Dr. Kenneth Malama says oxygen is a drug that should only be administered in hospitals unless the patients are in critical conditions.
Remember that delaying seeking medical attention is facilitatory to losing life, and we should refrain from that. The panacea for us to win the fight against COVID-19 lies in amplified adherence to the public health and social measures, including vaccination. This is not the time to expect to be coerced or chased around by law enforcers for you to adhere to the measures.
Dr. Malama has also warned members of the public who are in the business of selling oxygen cylinders to desist from selling them to COVID-19 patients without knowing what purpose they will use the cylinders for.
We've seen more people buying oxygen cylinders and starting people on oxygen at home. We also take this opportunity to warn those who are selling oxygen, the companies, not to give oxygen cylinders or sell oxygen to people, medical oxygen, without you knowing for what purpose they will use it, because you may become an accomplice.
Speaking at the same event, Zambia Medicine Regulation Authority ZAMRA Acting Director Lyoko Nyambe enlightens more on the importance of going to hospitals than self-medications.
Just go and walk in pharmacies and they get these products. The PS was just from mentioning the medical oxygen. Medical oxygen is a medicine, and it's actually a prescription medicine. So there are only certain conditions, as the PS has already alluded to, when that can be done, and and the patient is given the medical oxygen.
Meanwhile, the country has in the last 24 hours recorded 42 cases of COVID deaths and 1,580 new cases. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Some Lusaka residents who lost their jobs due to COVID-19 have made an appeal to well-wishers and government to come to their aid and help them to be financially stable. Speaking to Camnet TV in separate interviews, the residents say since their last employment opportunities were taken away from them due to the pandemic, life has been hard, hence asking for help.
To be useful, respectful and successful is what every person would desire, but to have this taken from you happens to be painful for many Zambians. Due to coronavirus, which started in November 2019, several citizens have been left without any form of stable employment to sustain both themselves and their families. As such, a number of them are forced to engage in different informal employment just to survive. Camnet TV, in an interview with the affected citizens, found out some of the challenges they are facing due to unemployment.
Nalebomba na sasa mkwebati na isanga tishire bomba nalebomba ku church kulia kuyunza kulia kukamulukusa so balisanjimike nchito just because of COVID and I've inanyamula ma columns almost 45 columns up to now.
They have since appealed to well-wishers and government to come to their aid financially, stating that life has become a struggle for most of them in that they sometimes wake up without knowing where they'll get the next meal.
Okay, in our case, we understand Corona is real. We understand Corona is real. The price control, if they can remove the, I don't know if it's possible, the free market and introduce the price control, that would really help us.
Everyone deserves an equal right to at least have 3 meals in a day. Blessings, Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
In other news, Party Hypertension Foundation, a non-profit making organization with a mandate to supplement government's effort in combating non-communicable diseases, in particular hypertension, has called for regular physical exercises among citizens to curb the risk of developing hypertension. Party Hypertension Foundation co-founder Peter Sakala says in the advent of COVID-19 pandemic, coupled with the high influx of people with non-communicable diseases such as hypertension, have overwhelmed the healthcare system in the country and has left the government with a huge healthcare burden. Mr. Sakala notes that government's effort alone in managing as treating non-communicable diseases is not enough to respond to pressure coming to health facilities, hence the move by the organization to embark on a robust community sensitization around issues pertaining to hypertension. He says the sensitization will also focus on lifestyle changes, encouraging people to do more of physical exercises as hypertension is a lifestyle disease.
Hypertension Foundation is aims to help bring up sensitization around issues of hypertension. So we intend to make programs in the communities to raise the banner of awareness, because we know that quite a lot of people may have hypertension or may be having a hypertension and may be giving up, or maybe hypertension seems to be a lonely journey. So we would want to make hypertension to become something which people can talk about. We can talk about it. We can also help as a community. We also want to look at the lifestyle changes, because we know that hypertension is a lifestyle disease. How much of physical activity are we doing? What kind of food are we taking? So some of our programs which we've started running are now centered around such things.
A 40-year-old man identified as Alik Mwasilila of Chawama compound in Lusaka has been arrested for incest after he was allegedly caught having carnal knowledge of his grandmother, aged 66. The incident occurred on July 30th, 2021, around 16 hours in Chawama compound. The fact of the matter, according to the police, are that the accused took advantage of his grandmother, who is unwell and was asleep in her bedroom. Deputy Police Public Relations Officer Danny Mwale says the victim was rescued by the neighbors who heard her shouting for help. He says the suspect was apprehended and surrendered to the police, while the victim was taken to the hospital for medical examination. The United Nations UN General Assembly in 2014 declared 15th July of every year as World Youth Skills Day to celebrate the strategic importance of youths fighting unemployment through using their skills. Some youths in Lusaka's Kalingalinga compound who specialize in making braziers and other metal fabrication works have called on their peers to identify a skill which can help them earn a living, unlike engaging in drugs and alcohol abuse due to the high unemployment levels. According to the International Labour Organization ILO, Zambia has one of the highest youth unemployment rates in the world.
15th July of every year was set apart by the United Nations UN to recognize youths who have chosen to earn a living using their skills. Zambia has high youth unemployment levels due to limited formal employment opportunities. This has also caused cases of drug and alcohol abuse to be on the rise among the youth. Some youths in Lusaka's Kalingalinga compound, however, have encouraged their fellows to shun idleness and identify skills to help them earn a living. The youth specialize in making braziers, gates, and other metallic work.
I do make the braziers, mahita, and mahita. So, Mr. Ko encouraged my youth to Anzanga. Kazi yandate kumamura, demo makwaka. At least, saving a kwani sa chica, chica. Bali ku banga kwani sa mungapange, vilvose banga kwani sa chica sa.
Kambile ko kulma yo, munga kono kuroti ko, tumangana vambi ko chica. O pesa ni movement na ko na ko. Mwa kapambira so ni pente apaso bitimkache mkomboni mayeto kuma mwa kupepa kwa kupepa madragi kuna kulo tiki na bambi so mwa kambira mgai kapanga kaketi akasia uzafuko ndoka 15 aiziwa zaso so kisa encourage mayeto omupaliri kwa mabwera sina kulekelele guys sina kulekelele kwa kuche nayo wasinza uma.
They further state that becoming self-employed is the only solution to fighting poverty amidst economic challenges. Zipora Mushala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Patents and Companies Registration Agency, PACRA, says it has registered over 15,000 businesses in the first half of 2021, reflecting an 18.7% increase. PACRA Business Development Manager Vida Njovu says the agency is pleased to note an increase in the number of businesses registrations in agriculture, forestry and fishing, while the wholesale and retail trade and financial and insurance sectors have continued to top the trend. Ms. Njovu says the agency, however, notes a 6% decline in compliance levels for annual return submissions during the first half of 2021 as compared to the same period last year. And the agency registered a total of 502 financing statements during the first half of the year. Ms. Njovu has attributed the low number of financing statements registered to the reluctance by most financing institutions to lend against movable property, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic when most businesses are struggling to survive financially. The agency has since urged the business community to formalize their businesses and protect their intellectual property rights in order to contribute to economic growth and national development. The Zambia High Commission in South Africa has cautioned Zambians considering traveling to KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng provinces to avoid doing so until the unrest in some towns of these provinces comes to an end. Zambia's High Commissioner to South Africa, Major General Jackson Miti, says truck drivers intending to travel to the coastal city of Durban in KwaZulu-Natal should reschedule their plans as most parts of the main roads to the city remain closed. General Miti has further advised cross-border traders planning to travel to the commercial city of Johannesburg to equally reschedule their plans, as most shops have been closed due to the continued protests. And the Commissioner has indicated that the Commission has so far not received any adverse reports concerning any Zambian nationals in South Africa. He added that the High Commission will continue to monitor the situation and advise Zambian travelers for their safety. We take our second break of commercials. We'll be back with international and sports news.
In this fast-paced era of industrial boom and population growth, there is need to invest in smart ways of managing electricity and water consumption and reducing utility billing costs associated with the postpaid billing system. At Savenda Electronics, we manufacture right here in Zambia different types of high-quality smart electricity and water meters to customer specifications. Savenda Electronics water and electricity meters help you monitor your usage and gives notifications such as low units, tampering, low battery, and many other features. These easy-to-use meters makes it easier to buy units even in these COVID times and top up just from the comfort of your space. Favorable contract terms are available to both electricity and water utilities. For more details, get in touch with us on the following numbers: 0956 580 349 or 0977 498 318. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Master Signs, our services range from outdoor, indoor signage such as billboards, banners, 3D light boxes, pylons and neon signs. We are located at plot number 397A, Makeni Road, Lusaka, at Oryx Filling Station. For more details, call us on +260 967 100 090 or +260 966 999 981, or better still, email us at infomastersign@gmail.com. Master Sign, we will make it shine.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties, your business assurance is our priority.
Good day to you, our dear esteemed customers. As Zamtel, we're glad to bring something of excitement to you, and it's a promotion we've dubbed Yatu, which simply means it's yours. And in this promotion, we're giving benefits that are tailored to you specifically as a customer, depending on the profile or the segment that you're sitting on as a customer. And in this promotion, we are saying you will get from as low as 13 Ngwe benefits amounting to over 500%. And it's all for you so that you get more benefits. So to know more about Yatu, stay on.
Yatu is a promotion that offers Zamtel customers amazing benefits that are made just for you. Zamtel customers will get amazing benefits of over 500% bonus back the value that they used when they subscribe to a Yatu offer. Yatu benefits will be usable for Zamtel to Zamtel calls, Zamtel to Zamtel SMSs, and browsing on pay-as-you-go defined rates. For you to access the amazing Yato offers, all you have to do is dial *335# and select option 1 to purchase the offer that best suits you. Zamtel customers will have the ability to actually purchase the Yato benefit more than once. So this means you can purchase the offer twice, you can purchase the offer 3 times, and the benefits will be accumulative at the end of the day. Yato benefits will be able to be redeemed if you subscribe to the same offer within a 5-day period. So if you have unused benefits from the previous day and the expiry date comes, you can still subscribe to the same offer within 5 days and your benefits will be able to accumulate. How amazing is that? For you to check your Yato benefit balance, all you have to do is dial *335# and select option 2 and you'll be able to see your current balance.
Camnet TV offers a wide range of advertising spaces for motion adverts, preaching programs, social media advertising, studio facilities, productions, programs, and documentaries. Grow your business with us at Camnet TV. For advertising space, visit our offices at plot number 396/100, Ibex Hill, Kablonga Road. Call 0962 965 883 or 0979-753-010, or you can email us at info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back, and now getting into our international item. Business activities may be normalizing slowly in the Gambia after COVID-19 restrictions were lifted, but 2 of the country's key economic sectors, diaspora remittances and tourism, continue to flounder. They make up about half of the country's gross domestic product. Experts are warning that unless they recover fast, the future of the economy could be in trouble. In other news, a week after the arrest of former South African President Jacob Zuma triggered riots, community members and vigilantes have started working to protect properties and businesses from being looted. Thousands of soldiers have been deployed to help police, but law enforcement agencies still appear unable to stop attacks by rioters. The city of Durban has seen some of the worst violence. Looting has hit supply chains across South Africa, disrupting transport services and manufacturing. Food, medicine and fuel supplies are running short. Here is a roundup.
At the port of Banjul, a few ships dock, waiting for cargoes. Shipping activities may not be near what the government expects after COVID-19 disruptions. But for Modula Minsanyang, who runs a seafood export company, it's an encouraging sign. He says for businesses like his to remain afloat, they need support.
So if we get trawlers and you get help from government, like let's say sort of a loan, sort of a grant, you'll be able to purchase a lot of fish and be able to process it and be selling it locally within the sub-region.
On the still waters of Oyster Creek, dozens of boats anchored are waiting for tourists, but only a few of them came. Lamin Kinte is hoping to convince some of them to ride in his boat. When we arrived, he was happy to show us the creek and the river Gambia. The waterways, he says, would have been bustling with tourists. Now hope is the only thing left for the industry.
We have thousands of employees who are right now late and then at home. So basically most of the places are also closed due to maybe rent issues and other financial issues. So completely it is completely a difficult situation at the moment.
Gambia lost $40 million in tourism revenue in 2020. For a small economy, that's devastating.
The Senegambia Quarter is one of the best places to assess the health of the Gambian economy. On a normal day, this area in the heart of the country's tourism industry would be filled with tourists and those who cater for them. Now, that number has significantly reduced.
Business leaders here say economic activities may be resuming slowly, but recovery is still far off.
It has not ended, but
there is some progress, and recently I'm pleased to say the Chamber hosted its trade fair, Gambia International, after 2 years.
He says 1 out of 3 businesses here in the Gambia may not survive the pandemic, and 1 out of 6 businesses that do survive are expected to face long-term cash flow problems. That could mean more job losses or outright closures for some. While some businesses in Europe and Asia are beginning to recover from COVID-19 disruptions, remittance from Gambians living abroad, accounting for over 20% of the GDP, is not expected to return to its pre-COVID-19 levels. That means more uncertainties for families and the economy of the Gambia.
It's the worst unrest South Africa has seen in years. In the city of Durban, shops have been looted and warehouses set on fire. Some of the area's wealthier residents have reportedly chartered planes or helicopters and left. But others, like OK, can't afford to leave. His car dealership in Johannesburg was destroyed, one of hundreds of businesses targeted by looters. Now he has no money to support his family or to pay his 16 employees.
My livelihood has been taken away from me in my eyes. I was sitting crying, helpless, because I can't do anything.
The vandalism is overwhelming for the shop owner. She was planning on retiring from her party supply store. Now she must start over.
Explain to me why. I'm 55 years old. Retirement is here. I put everything into my business. Everything. I've got nothing. No pension money, nothing.
With police often outnumbered, some locals have created their own vigilante groups by stopping looters to protect their properties. Looting has hit supply chains across the country, disrupting transportation, services, and manufacturing. Food, medicine, and fuel supplies are running short. Amid fears of violence, these customers are not allowed into this market. They must buy their food through a window gap. What began as protests against the arrest of ex-President Jacob Zuma last week escalated to riots. With a 32% unemployment rate, the unrest is also magnifying South Africa's poverty and inequality 27 years after the end of apartheid.
I stole a few things like cold drinks and electrical appliances, as well as some paint. I guess the real reason is because we have nothing, and when you see other people stealing, at some point you realize that shops will close and you will be left with nothing. So you ask yourself, after all of this, how will I survive with the way things are?
As calls to end looting and violence go unheard, many fear the unrest may lead to unprecedented economic damage. Katia Lopez-Odoyan, Al Jazeera.
We now get into our sports item. Eight days to go to Tokyo 2020 and Olympics. Chief Thomas Bech says there is zero chance of participants infecting Japanese residents with coronavirus. Those comments came on the same day that one athlete and several staff members of the Games is tested positive in Tokyo. Here is Al Jazeera with the roundup.
The Olympic torch relay continues in Tokyo, but it's largely ceremonial, with the torchbearers only allowed to walk with the flame for a few metres. The state of emergency in the host city has seen the relay taken away from public roads, with no spectators. Restrictions are also impacting local business close to the venues. This fencing club across from the main stadium has been told to leave its premises until mid-September because it's being used by Tokyo 2020. Bad news for a small business already struggling with the impact of the pandemic.
With the sports industry already lacking energy, to now be told there will be no practice area is an additional blow. From a business perspective, it's going to be a big negative, in all honesty.
8 days to go until the Games, and coronavirus continues to cause disruption. On Thursday, the first athlete to test positive under the organiser's watch was confirmed in Tokyo, along with a member of Games personnel and 4 Tokyo 2020 contractors. 8 women rugby players from Kenya are also isolating after a positive case on their flight, and US basketball star Bradley Beal could miss the Games. He's isolating at their camp in the States, with his teammates set to fly out on Monday. The American women's football team is already in Japan, getting ready for an Olympics like no other, with no fans at all in the stadium.
It'll be really different, but we have to be able to imitate fans around us and kind of that sort of energy. We have to feed off each other because we're not going to get that from any outside audience or anything like that.
No fans, and the medal ceremonies will look different too. Athletes who win gold, silver and bronze will have to collect and present themselves with the medals to reduce the risk of spreading the virus. Despite all the complications, countries continue to send their teams to compete, including China, who have assembled their biggest ever delegation for an Olympics. All 431 of their athletes were unveiled at a special ceremony in Beijing, with the Games set to begin a week on Friday. David Stokes, Al Jazeera.
Well, that international sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. Fountain of Hope Orphanage beneficiaries threaten to close institution, citing bad leadership. Chief LUEMBE cautions his counterparts from taking a partisan stance. CHELLAH TUKUTA slapped with a 2-year jail sentence for defaming DORA SILIYA. In international news, Gambia economy struggles to recover after COVID restrictions lifted. And in sports, athlete Olympic workers test positive for COVID as opening nears. Before we go, here is our Camnet verse of the day, and it's coming from the book of John 15, verse 7 to 8, and it reads, "If you remain in me and my word remains in you, ask whatever you want and it will be done for you. My Father is glorified by this, that you produce much fruit and prove to be my disciples." Thank you for joining me. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Continue watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Pleasant viewing.